What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Show Us Some TDs, which I just recently found out was like the number one fantasy football name.
Yeah, show me your TDs, I think.
Show me your TDs. Yeah, well, Randy from the Triple Clowns actually made that name. But what's up, everybody? I'm AJ Ryder. Right to my, I still haven't figured this out. To my left, your right, is my good buddy, former tag team partner, Tyler Cintron. This is now we're in week 4. This is the third week we've been together. And look, man, we've been pretty hot here on this show the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't want to brag or anything like that, but we've been pretty hot here on this show.
I also don't want to jinx it because with my gambling history, pre-joining you on the stream, we are either really good or we are really bad. So if you want to fade me at some point in time, I would probably guess maybe next weekend. I feel like I had a good grip this weekend, but just be ready to fade me completely with my picks.
Well, yeah, we did have a pretty good weekend last weekend, especially like we do the show. We'll start off with the college slate on Saturday and tonight as well too. Some good games tonight. I know you got one you like tonight as well. I've got two I kind of like tonight. I might jump on your back there a little bit, and then I got someone else I'm going to take as well tonight. But yeah, I did pretty well last Friday, and then I think Saturday we did pretty well too.
Well, I usually do well on Saturdays outside of the morning slate. So that noon Eastern slate continues to bite me in the butt every week. Every other slate I do pretty well at, other than that morning slate in college.
But well, actually coming on the show. So when we did the show on Friday, I talked about how much I liked UCLA. And I got talked in to betting against them. And then what happened? God damn it. That UCLA was, or that USC was the only two I missed, I think, out of the ones I played.
Yes. Because I remember making the running joke that I talked you out of your perfect day. And then, of course, the USC Trojans proved us both wrong that there's no such thing as a perfect slate.
Classic Trojans. Oh, hey, shout out to Tom and Tom, my co-host on Tuesdays. He's back in the chat. He just he apparently was on his way to Delaware Park and asked me, hey, do I bet the Chiefs -7? I'm like, well, they're 0-6-1 on the road in their last 7.
Yeah.
But no, shout out to Tom. He was on the show yesterday with us. He's been on the DGen channel a bunch. Good-ish dude. I don't want to say good dude, like good-ish.
Good-ish, I like that.
Yeah. Of course, on Tuesday, the first show he ever missed, both me and his replacement hit the pick 5 at Delaware Park. So
nice.
He's probably a jinx. So right now, hammer the Eagles +7.
I actually, Dennis in the chat here has actually got some pretty solid college picks. That's
well, let's do it. Let's go over that. So big college weekend this weekend. I love a lot of these games. Whether you win or lose, it's going to be a lot of fun. Like there's some really good ones here. Let's go straight into it. I'm just going to pick one. What about let's go Cincy straight off the bat because I'm a fan of Fickle and what he's been doing there. So
yeah, I mean, again, from Wisconsin, my dog's name is Badger. So I deep dive into the Wisconsin Badgers consistently, obviously. I mean, the fourth quarter was kind of a debacle. Graham Mertz wasn't exactly what Graham Mertz was supposed to be. I feel like Notre Dame's defense is that good, but I also feel like Cincinnati's defense is that good. I'm not sure about the spread because looking at the numbers one way or the other, but I like the under in that game because I feel like it's going to be a slugfest. What are your thoughts there?
Well, when you're looking at it right now, the total, you're fading the public there. 40% of the tickets are on the under, or 40% of the money is on the under. 54% of the tickets. I actually went. I actually am more partial to Cincinnati covering this on the road. If this was any bigger, I think I'd have to shy away. But because what do we got? -2.
I mean, it's got to float between 2 and 3, depending on.
Yeah. And look, if there's one thing I love to do, it's to fade especially when the money's the same and the public tickets are all on somebody else. Everyone's betting Notre Dame right now, it seems like.
Of course,
and I think, didn't I tell you last year during bowl season, I was like, I don't think Cincinnati's that great. And didn't I pay for that?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all over Cincy here as well, -2. So I'm with you. Cincy -2. Oh, I thought he moved the line to 6.5 there for a second when I see that. I was like, that's bold, but I love it. No, I'm on Cincy -2. I think they're a better team. I don't know if this is like the Notre Dame from last year. I don't think it's as good, especially the offense seems kind of shitty. I know Wisconsin's defense is solid. But yeah, I'm leaning towards Cincy, but I don't know if I'll make an actual bet on it.
Yeah, and if I was going to play anything, it would probably be the under, just because both are well-coached football teams, and I feel like they're both going to be coaching to, we don't want anybody to make a mistake. We're just going to play strong defense. It's going to be a field position type game. Again, that Notre Dame-Wisconsin game was 13-10 early in the fourth quarter until the wheels fell off for Wisconsin. So I'm not looking for high-scoring offense in any capacity in that game. I feel like that's going to be an old-school slugfest.
Like, all that game told me was, like, Notre Dame belongs in the Big Ten.
Yes.
It was just like, you could plug in any Big Ten team. I feel like this is going to be the exact same game, no matter what. And yeah, so I like I don't like Notre Dame personally. I like what they did defensively, and they figured it out. But to say both teams are well coached, obviously I have a big bias against Kelly. That guy can go fuck himself.
Not a bad football coach, but he's not a bad football coach.
He can still eat a dick.
I don't argue with that statement either. I fully agree with it. Doesn't make him a bad football coach in my eyes, however.
Another one, I think, out of Dennis's picks, and I'll pull that down, but was the Kentucky game. Did you have something there? Because I do.
So Kentucky's actually a really good football team. I know they let South Carolina hang around last week, but Kentucky's going to play their style of football. They were underdogs quite often last year. I remember hitting on them being underdogs against Georgia last season, and I feel like this is much of that same type of game where I don't think they're going to win, but I feel like they're going to hang around enough to cover. Because again, Mark Stoops, well-coached defense. Their offense is not high-flying, so it's going to be a battle of wills between the two, because I don't think Florida's defense is anything to write home about. I also don't think Kentucky's offense is anything to write home about. So if I was going to take this game, I think it was at 8, dropped down to 7. I would still be comfortable taking +7 in that game.
I'm seeing 7.5 right now, and I would tell you Kentucky's 4-2 against the spread in their last 6, so 3-1 this year. The big key is going to be keeping Levis upright. His passer rating when with a clean pocket, 109.5. His passer rating under pressure, 48.9. So if they can keep him upright, I think he can sit back there and pick this defense apart. The only problem is Florida is like 3rd or 4th in the nation with 16 sacks in 4 games.
And if you can get after Alabama, you can get after anybody.
Right. So but look, I mean, South Carolina did pretty much the same thing. I mean, they got after him a lot, and they still managed to pull out, a win. So I'm very on the fence about it, but I do like Kentucky.
I was going to say, this is going to be a true, this is what both teams are this weekend. Like, you saw Florida compete with Alabama. I mean, was that a one-off? Dan Mullen consistently does well against Alabama. If you got Nick Fitzgerald competing at Mississippi State against Alabama, you're doing a good job. But, what does this mean for Kentucky this weekend? I feel like this is a big weekend for Kentucky football.
Yep.
Traditionally basketball school. They have somebody coming off the heels again of competing with Alabama. It's at the Swamp, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. It's in Kentucky.
Oh, it's in Kentucky. Even more so. That's okay. Home dogs plus the points, system play. Roll with it.
Yeah. Kentucky's been sneakily becoming a better and better football school for, 3 or 4 years now.
Yes, they have.
They've done pretty well, and this is kind of the year where it feels like, well, maybe they'll be competitors in this SEC. What else do you got going on this weekend? What are your big plays?
Big plays.
Well, not big plays, but what do you got going on?
I mean, let's get after not the morning slate. So obviously, being from Wisconsin, I don't understand how Wisconsin's the favorite in any capacity other than it being at Camp Randall. I think Michigan being able to run the football and Wisconsin being able to stop the run is going to be a war of attrition tomorrow. I can't imagine Wisconsin winning that game in any capacity. Like, I would take Michigan money line. I would hammer that. We've talked about my Miami Hurricanes bias. Again, if we would have hammered the money line against them in the last couple of games against Michigan State, against Virginia, we'd have made some cash on it. So that's one that's jumping out to me. I don't understand how Wisconsin's favored. The other one that has my eyes, and it's fading myself because I like the home dogs plus the points. However, I feel like Texas getting 4.5 or what is it now? 4-point favorite going into TCU. Well, if you're letting Cal hang around and you're getting beat by SMU or letting SMU cover.
Hey, whoa! Let's not talk bad about SMU.
I'm not talking bad, but I'm just saying, Texas is finding their groove. They found their quarterback. I feel like that's an easy cover for Texas this weekend. Talked about. So, do we want to get into the big fish?
Well, hold on. Dennis made a comment saying that he likes me more than you, which isn't hard to do. Everyone hates me on this channel. It's fine because he took Michigan money line. Don't get me wrong. I'm going Michigan there too. You're talking about the only team in the country right now without a turnover.
Yeah,
you take care of the ball, and obviously what we've seen last weekend towards the end. I mean, with Wisconsin, they can make some turnovers here. If you're +2 in the turnover differential, they're going to win this game, which I think they can be because Michigan's got a pretty solid defense up there as well. And they take care of the ball. I think Michigan's the play there too. But
yep. I mean, it's weird me taking a babyface turn in any type of capacity, but I appreciate it, Dennis. we like the support. I mean,
it's both of them.
I mean, looking at, I've talked about Matt Corral time and time again. Preseason, first month of the college season. He's going to Tuscaloosa this week. I feel like this is a Johnny Manziel type spot. I don't know if they go in and win, but I feel like finally he's going to have all eyes on him. It's the CBS SEC game of the week. I think he goes in there and balls out. I don't know about the total because it's at 79.5 right
now. You'll never see that total again.
Like, I looked at that the other day. Like, man, that thing keeps going up. So if anything, fade the public and take the under. Even 42-21 victory.
Yeah, even a high scoring game, you're still.
But if you're like the way that Alabama struggled against Emory Jones, Florida with that passing game, Matt Corral is my quarterback crush this season. I'm not hiding it. I love that dude. I love watching him play the game. He just it's poetry in motion for me watching him and Kiffin because they're in sync. And there's the running joke this week about Kiffin running plays that Saban pointed out that it's impossible to defend. I think Lane Kiffin and Matt Corral go in there this weekend. Might not win, but they're going to cover 14.5.
Yeah, and here's my big X factor because you're right. Lane Kiffin, Corral, 635 yards a game right now.
Stupid.
In the 3 games they played, best offense in the country, bar none. It seems like at the moment, but they haven't played. This is their first real test defensively. Who Alabama's given up 17.5 points a game. Good defense. This is going to be huge. But I'm going to tell you the X factor in this game. It's going to be some Joe Schmo named Michael Wilbon, who came out on PTI calling Lane Kiffin a joke. He's a disaster. He's been a joke everywhere he's been. And you're right. 18 years ago, 10 years ago, those comments are,
warranted.
Yeah. Those comments are a little bit more of a more relevant. But right now, since Lane Kiffin left USC, and I've worked under Lane Kiffin, I know Lane Kiffin, and I know he his players love him, man. When Lane Kiffin is your head coach, you get more out of your players. And I think you've seen that at like Florida Atlantic. And I think you're going to see that now at Ole Miss because that dude is a guy you want to play for. And when all his team sits there, because everyone in college, y'all watch ESPN, they're in touch with everything that's going on. And when you see some guy come out publicly and call your coach a joke and a clown, I can guarantee you they will be ready for this game.
Yep.
They will be hyped up for this game. And if you're going to give me 15 points,
take them all day.
I'm going to hammer that all day.
I mean, I sprinkled the money line on some of these dogs week to week. I mean, obviously cashing in on NC State last week was a roller coaster. I think one of these days we got to open up the screenshot of our DMs going back and forth talking about some of these games when they're live. But, man, like that's going to be a sprinkle this week. I'm not going to go heavy on it in any capacity, but I would not be shocked if
you don't have to go heavy, man. It's 15 points. I don't know what's the money line right now on that, but I mean, shit, you go light on it, you're still going to get a good return.
Yeah, like even last weekend, that NC State hit on the money line didn't matter what any other game played.
Made your money back there.
Yeah, and gave it all back on USC. They're plus 465 on the money line right now at the Circa.
Exactly.
I mean, that's worth a sprinkle. One, because they can outscore them. I mean, offense to offense. I mean, I get the Alabama factor and those weapons, but I mean, Matt Corral, everybody watch this weekend and just enjoy.
Yeah, Dennis. Yeah, what did you say? Plus 460.
Yeah, I got it 465. Yeah, at the Circa. If you can get it at 500, throw $20-$30 on it. Absolutely worth it.
I mean, it's definitely worth a shot for sure. I want to find out where the public is at. I guarantee they're on Alabama.
Of course they.
I'll see if I can find that. While I find that, what else? Where else are you going here?
Florida State's favorite again. I don't understand it.
Who knows?
Yeah, I will fade Florida State until it bites me, and I don't think it's going to. I missed out against Jacksonville State. I would not have gotten money line in that game, but I'd have taken the points. Again, it's kind of like Miami last night, right? They're at home. They're favored for absolutely no reason in any capacity. So, again, I'm taking Syracuse on that money line. I probably won't even take it plus the points. My eyes are on Nevada beating Boise State outright tomorrow. Might not go there, but Carson Strong is another quarterback crush, not as much as Matt Corral. What else am I looking at? Mississippi State, Texas A&M under 46 tomorrow. I know I'm a big overs guy. I like points. I like quarterback play. We all know the John Gruden Jr. that I have in my soul. Should have been Sean McVay in a different life. But these, I don't know. Texas A&M is always going to be in slugfest. One, their offense can't score. Two, their defense is pretty good. Mississippi State just, I don't see much in them. I do like Oklahoma State to cover at home, 3.5 against Baylor. Baylor got the big win last week against Iowa State. I think we're learning that Iowa State really isn't much to write home about after last season. Yeah. I think Oklahoma State, Spencer Rattler, they can score.
65% of the money on Alabama.
Of course it is.
Solid fade the public play.
Yeah. And then jumping out again, I don't understand how Clemson's a 14.5-point favorite, even at home. They're not beating Georgia Tech by 14.5. They're not. I mean, Boston College plus the points feels like the play there.
I watched that whole game yesterday last week because I had a lot of money riding on Boston College. I rode them hard. Yeah. And all right, I'm not saying there's no stray from the money line by a lot, but there's something about that Boston College team that just seems to want to hang around and play just well enough. Their running game it just came together when it needed to. So 14 points, is that what it was?
14.5 right now.
14.5. That's a solid play. I'd stray from the money line because they're not going to beat them. No, Clemson has been playing just not Clemson football for 4 or 5 weeks now.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been Clemson. It's not Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson. I mean, even when Kelly Bryant was at quarterback, they were playing better football than this.
You would think at some point they'd get it together, but it doesn't seem to really want to click.
No, I mean, defensively, they got it together, obviously. Right. Offensively, I didn't realize Travis Etienne was that important to the machine for him.
What's the over-under on that?
Let me jump back up. 46. Probably steer under on that.
Under big time.
Yeah. Anything else? Sorry, I don't have my notes. We had a long night last night. We had a friend in town for a work convention, so of course, visit old Cintron on the Strip. We're gonna have a long night. It is what it is. If anybody on the stream's coming to Vegas, let me know. We'll go out and have some fun. I know you want to talk about this. Let's talk about a mutual pick that we both like.
I'm gonna guess that's a big
home dog plus the points.
Fucking Scarlet Knights, baby. Let's go. Getting 15.5 after nearly going to the big house and staying within 7, covering easy. They were given 21 or something ridiculous. And very easy could have won that game. Look, Rutgers is not a flashy team.
Not at all. Not
a flashy team whatsoever. But these motherfuckers are tough. Dude,
yes,
I love this Rutgers team so much. 3-0 against the spread right now. Or maybe, no, 4. 3 or 4. Anyway, if you've bet them every game, you've covered every single game. And now you're coming in. They don't turn the ball over. They're +7 in the turnover margin this year. I think is 4th best in all of college football. And they went up there and did that without being able to take the ball away from Michigan, who, again, hasn't turned the ball over this year. Now you're getting to come home, and you've got the Ohio State Buckeyes
who aren't the Ohio State Buckeyes of recent.
Let's not. Justin Fields is gone, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the Ohio State Buckeyes you remember from a year ago.
I bet you it was Justin Fields probably wants to go back. But we'll get to that.
But you get them at home in the birthplace of college football. Let's go, Scarlet Knights. +15.5. Had Rutgers pulled that off, all the picks I had in the morning in the early games, I had in a parlay with the Rutgers money line, which was a bit huge. Didn't come out, but I'm going to try it again this week too, because Rutgers is going to win one of these games against the bigger, top tier Big Ten teams here pretty soon, and it may very well be Saturday.
Well, talking home dogs plus the points and a money line sprinkle, that's a system play that I like. We have done that the last couple of weeks. We have hit NC State last week. I don't disagree. The only cause for concern that I would have in that game is Ohio State's offense is so explosive. Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson at wideout, they could play in the NFL right now. That's the only cause for concern that I have is Ohio State can just turn it on. And we saw against, Tulsa or whoever they let hang around at the horseshoe, and then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, they're turning it on. Ohio State is just so up and down. But if I was going to play it, I would take Rutgers plus the points.
You're thinking of Syracuse.
With Ohio State?
No, I thought you were talking about Rutgers.
No.
The only team they've let hang around outside in their wins, I'm saying. Oh, you're talking about.
I was talking about Ohio State, yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Tulsa,
right?
What's that?
It was Tulsa, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you in about 3 seconds.
But the other home dog.
Yeah, Tulsa.
The other home dog that I'm liking quite a bit is Kansas State getting 11.5 points at home against Oklahoma. I was so hard on West Virginia covering in Norman last week. Like, that was the big bet of the day as we rolled on into the night. I was all over that, like, without question. Even Bob Stoops went on national television that his Oklahoma Sooners would not cover the spread. This is their first true road game. This is the first time they're on the road all season. Kansas State, scrappy team. I'd take them plus the points, and that's going to be the money line sprinkle this weekend is Kansas State.
Well, so OU's so weird because that normal just intimidation factor you have with that OU symbol on the side of your helmet doesn't seem to even want to be there anymore because they just do not even look. Dennis even took it on the money line plus 60.
Good sprinkle. It's a good sprinkle.
Yeah, that's at this point I cannot I mean, if you're going to give a massive amount of points, if you're going to give double-digit points to Oklahoma, I'm going to lean the other way.
Yeah, I haven't seen much out of this Oklahoma team. However, last season they didn't start off hot. I think they lost a couple of games early, and then all of a sudden they turned it on. This Spencer Rattler expectation of him carrying on the Baker, the Kyler, the Jalen legacy, that's not him. Like he's not that type of quarterback. And that's where I feel like they're going to fall on the sword a little bit. Is they're on the road for the first time. They're going to need to make some plays. I just don't see Spencer Rattler doing that on the road, and that's going to be the home dog play of the week with a little money line sprinkle there. That would be the one that I would keep eyes on in all fronts.
Well, before I talk about tonight, I guess, because I think we haven't talked about that yet, and I know you got one there. I got maybe two, possibly. What I say, Northern Illinois minus 2.5 at home against Eastern Michigan. I'm gonna ride the Huskies one more time before I stop. I know. I thought they were gonna have a much better performance against Michigan, but that didn't happen. But this is a MAC game. MAC games are different, so I'm gonna ride them there at minus 2.5. And the other one, UCLA, getting lane 3 at home. Now,
State, right?
Yep. Arizona State or UCLA proved a lot to me when I picked them the first time, and then I faded them. Actually, when it came time to make money on them, I'm going to ride them at the Rose Bowl. It just seems right. I came on the show last week. I said I think they're a lot better team than people are giving them credit for, as much as that pains me to say. So I'm going to ride them again, minus 3 at the Rose Bowl against Arizona State. Arizona State's tough, don't get me wrong, but if this game is down in Arizona, it's a different story. But at home, I think that school typically gets behind that football team no matter how bad they are. So the Rose Bowl is going to be rocking Saturday.
Yeah, and I think that Fresno State loss actually woke them up a little bit. I think that was probably good for them in hindsight, especially like covering spreads and whatever they need. Still think they're going to lose to Oregon, but that unfortunately might be the only game they lose.
Everyone's going to lose to Oregon, though. Oregon, they're going to run the Pac-12.
Yeah. So speaking of Arizona State losing on the road to BYU a couple weeks ago, and that was the home dog money line play of the week, made a little bit of cash on. Perfect segue into a Friday night kickoff October in college football slate. I think we all know my home dog passion per se. What are you taking tonight before I dive into why I think Maryland can outscore Iowa?
All right, so the other one I like going on is, I think it's going to fade your pick, is going to be the old Houston Cougars going into Tulsa. Houston's getting plus 3.5. I'm not a big believer in Tulsa. I think Houston's a little bit better. I mean, 3-1 right now. They look solid, and look, again, I'm going to have to look more into it between now and then because I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to these games outside of the one we're about to talk about. But I'm just going with kind of my gut. When I looked at it on the surface, I'm going to go with Houston plus 3.
Yeah, and I can't disagree. I mean, just looking at their schedule, they lost to UC Davis. Lost. Right. Hung with Oklahoma State early, hung with Ohio State early. However, hanging with them and then losing the game is a completely different ballgame. Houston lost to only Texas Tech, I believe, which, again, not a strong football team, but, again, a 3-1 team going to a 1-3 team getting 3.5 points, I would take that all day.
Yep. So, which brings us to probably the main event of the evening tonight. We're going live. The Maryland Terrapins and the Iowa Hawkeyes. You've been telling me about this game since Monday, I believe.
Yes.
So go ahead and take
it. And the line's gone down since I've talked about it. I'm less confident about it. I don't believe in Iowa's offense in any capacity. It's me out there under quarterback, thrown to you with the tight end position at the end of the day. Like it's.
Hey, no.
Hey, it's not a knock on us. It's a knock on them. Maryland can score points. They got Tua's younger brother under quarterback.
Oh yeah,
When it comes down to it, Iowa's defense is strong. Maryland's offense is stronger, in my opinion. It's away from Kinnick. I don't believe in them. Maryland's just going to outscore them tonight in some capacity. They're going to find a way to win outright, it feels like. And I'm happy to be wrong at any point in time. This just feels like that game for Iowa where they beat some bad teams. I feel like Indiana's a fraud. Iowa State's clearly a fraud, and I was on them all day going into the preseason with everything they have coming back. This is the game where they get caught. Is it their first game away from home? No, they went to yeah, but so Indiana at home at Iowa State. Kent State was hanging around with them for a while. Colorado State had the lead in that game.
Kent State's real. When I say real, I mean good
enough. Shout out to our friend Dolph Ziggler, Kent State alum there. But yeah, I feel like this is the game. I know the public's probably heavy on Maryland just because of Iowa's terrible offense, but I feel like that's the right play. I like Maryland to win outright tonight.
Well, the public per se is not on Maryland. They're getting 36% of the bets and 61% of the money. So sharps and big money bettors know where to go. So they're on the Terps, which that's a good side to be on. And then like you said, the offense, dude, little Tua, 7th in the country in passing yards. He's tied for 10th in passing touchdowns. Like he's about to put together a really good season if he keeps up the way he's going right now. And this might be the marquee game for them, for him going forward. So yeah, I like the Terps here a lot. Yeah, home dog. I mean, I'll take the points for sure. And then I don't know, in a game like this, do you take the points or just go straight money line?
Straight money line. They're not going to win by a field goal. You know what I mean? It's going to be one way or the other. Either you're just going to lose. Iowa's going to win by 20 points, or Maryland's going to win by 3-7. It feels like in this spot.
Anything on the other game going on tonight, or no?
I'm really big on BYU finishing the season strong. I took Utah State at home plus 9.5 last week against Boise, and they didn't cover. So I'm staying away from that altogether. Actually found out one of my friends that I met in Utah, one of his kids is actually an outside linebacker for Utah State, so I will stay away from betting against them and just cheer for the home team, if you will. But I feel like BYU's on a path to go undefeated and try to make some noise getting into the playoff.
Interesting to point out, too, the over-under is at 62, 40% of the tickets, 86% of the money on that over-under. So if you're trying to find something to play there might be something there as well.
Well, I mean, if you're playing the over, you might as well take Utah State plus the points too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just parlay.
They're gonna have to get. No, I get that. Well, yeah. Again, I'm excited for the slate tomorrow. It's gonna be a great slate in college football. Whether you win or lose, again, like I said, there's a lot of fun stuff to watch tomorrow. But so let's move on then to the big leagues, to Sunday. Real quick though, I want to talk about what we did last weekend and then especially last night. So
we talk about last night. No.
So I seen a lot of people going the Bengals -7, and I get it. If that game was played on Sunday, I would have hammered the Bengals all day. But Thursday night football, for some reason, when shitty teams play, is such a different animal. Like, it does not matter. I mean, I had people tweeting me about, like, what the hell's going on when the Jaguars are up 14-0? I'm like, dude, it's Thursday night. This is what happens when shitty teams play on Thursday night. And we don't know who the Bengals are. We know Jacksonville sucks. But Jacksonville probably played their best game on Thursday night last year. Surprisingly enough. And they haven't won in over 365 days. Like, why on earth would you ever want to bet Jacksonville? That's why I stuck to props. Jacksonville has given up a 300-yard passer, except for maybe Tyrod Taylor through like 294 in all the games they played this year. His over-under was at 255. I moved it to 275 because I had to. Jamar Chase, the 69.5 was way too low. Laviska Shenault, whose over-under was at a stupid low 40. The Bengals have given up more than 40 yards, maybe more than 60 to every number 2 wide receiver they've played so far this year. That was an easy go-to as well. And then I just had to put the Bengals money line because it just seemed like they couldn't lose, but I couldn't trust them to cover.
Yeah, and if you're parlaying some props you're confident with, why not just throw them money line to take them to win outright? I mean, it juices it a little bit.
It sucked because I had hit all the props, and then I'm waiting. I'm like, God damn it, Joe, just in the field goal range.
So the only thing I took last night was, and I got James Robinson on my fantasy team. So shout out, yeah, I don't understand why they drafted.
Travis Etienne was such a good pick, huh?
Yeah, I never understood it. They had one strength on their entire football team, and they drafted to that strength. I took him as a touchdown anytime plus 120. I took Jamar Chase to score a touchdown anytime plus, I think it was 120, 140. That didn't hit. I took the Bengals minus 7.5. That didn't hit. I took the over. That didn't hit either. So I was hoping for, on that final drive, for a Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase touchdown and a 2-point conversion to hit all of those bets. And they settled for a field goal, and I lost just about everything last night.
Well, but outside of that, let's go back to last weekend where fuck your Raiders, man. They took away my perfect afternoon slate. That was I had the Dolphins on the money line. I had the Rams. I had the Vikings. I had Denver minus 10.5. And then the John Gruden just broke my heart because I thought I had it.
You know, my John Gruden soul is always going to be happy with the Raiders' victory. But in a unique fashion, we both lost our bet. In that game, I went heavy on Raiders minus 3.5. You went Dolphins money line. The Raiders win by 3.
Of course.
But, in that game specifically, I don't know who the Raiders are yet. Like, I'm obviously always going to look for the best, but I try to treat myself like I'm on the Raiders coaching staff just for my own enjoyment. The Raiders did everything possible to lose that game. Throwing a pick six on, I think it was the second drive. It wasn't the opening drive. Up 25-14, missing the PAT, letting them come back. They converted on fourth down with no time left, essentially. Hit the 2-point conversion to tie it up. 4th and 19 in overtime. They converted 4th and 19. It was such a wild ride for Raiders fans, and especially like those faithful Raider fans that have been with them through the years. That had to be a roller coaster. But at the end of the day, that football team is finding a way to win games. And I think that
they are, bar none, the funnest team to watch right now.
Yes.
Bar none.
And they have a functional defense, which is helpful. Gruden's going to let that thing fly with Josh Jacobs coming back healthy. I mean, we can talk about Monday Night Football right now. However,
I'd rather not.
I'm taking the Raiders money line, but
Monday Night Football. I thought you were talking about last week.
Yeah, no. So yeah, I mean, we both lost the bet on that Raiders-Dolphins game. Is the best part about it, but I mean, Raiders are scrappy, finding ways to win games.
Yeah, Rams. I moved that line to 9.5.
Good for you.
Such a clutch move.
Good for you.
Not to flex, but I'm telling you, there's something about this Bucs I cannot trust right now. Until that defense shows us what they were last year in the playoffs, I will not trust them to win. Because right now they look kind of like how they did early last year, where they weren't world beaters. Lost to the Saints in the openers. Lost to the Bears in like week 4 or 5. 4, yeah. I mean, exactly. Like, until that defense is putting pressure on opposing quarterbacks like they did against Rodgers and Mahomes, which pretty much, like, Tom Brady didn't win that Super Bowl. That defense did.
I agree.
That defense was 100% the reason they went throughout that playoff run and did what they did.
I mean, on that note too, both left tackles were out for the Raiders or for the Packers and Chiefs in both those games. So when you're playing a backup left tackle at both positions, it's really easy to feast and eat and get in the backfield. So I agree. I mean, that game, nobody really wanted to run the ball because they could throw it all over. I mean, the Tom Brady going back to New England thing this weekend is just I don't even want to talk about it. It's just everywhere. But
we're going to have to later, so hold on to that.
But looking at that game back, I mean, looking at the Rams team in general, we've talked about it the last couple of weeks. They let you move the ball between the 20s, and then they put the clamps on inside the 20s, and they did that exact same thing to him. So if you can get Tom Brady to literally walk into your game plan and beat him by 10 points, should have been more with the, I don't want to call it a garbage time touchdown, but a late touchdown. If you're getting Tom Brady to like walk right into that game plan and have him play your game, what are they going to do to everybody else in the league?
Yeah. That Rams winning that division early on bet was
fantastic.
Yeah.
I got them at plus 220 preseason.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was somewhere around there. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, they seem solid. And Stafford, now the big conversation today has been like, oh, if Stafford was with the Packers, he'd have more success. And it's like, well, like, and it's hilarious too, because a buddy of ours from the Trust the Prophets, a horse racing podcast and stuff, a guy came on our Tuesday show, and we randomly got off on this tangent about Zach Wilson while we're trying to handicap horses. And then it went to we talked about Matthew Stafford and the success because he's a Lions fan. We had talked about the success he's having now, and we said, like, dude, if Stafford got drafted by the Steelers, I mean, he maybe do better than Big Ben. But instead to go to the Packers, I mean, Ben is Ben, and Ben is good and has been good. He's not good now, but he used to be good. Rodgers right now is still at the top of this game.
Yeah.
So to make that, like, that was the big conversation I've seen on Twitter today. I just kind of wanted to hint on that, but like, look, that didn't happen. So you can speculate all you want. But
yeah, I don't think we need to say if Stafford did this or Stafford did that. Stafford is on the Los Angeles Rams right now. He's throwing the football to Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, got Deshaun Jackson running down the field. They got Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on the other side of the ball. I don't want to play hypotheticals with Matt Stafford because he's in a perfect situation.
He's in a spot now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure why we would want him to – well, as a Packers fan, the both of us, we don't want to run into the Rams in January. We don't want to go to SoFi in January in any capacity because that team can outscore Aaron Rodgers. As much as it pains me to say it, that team absolutely can. And it's
strictly because of the defenses that each team has.
Yep.
I mean, it has nothing to do with whose offense is better. Your defense is a shit ton better than ours.
Yeah. Again, move the ball up and down the field in between the 20s. You get inside the 20, they clamp down on you and they make it overly difficult.
Yeah. So if Devontae gets stopped short of the end zone at the 10, we're fucked.
Yep. Yeah, we're not running the football against Aaron Donald. Aaron Jones is not going to outweigh Aaron Donald in that matchup inside the 10. Sorry to say it.
All right. Well, real quick too, my big idiot sandwich moment was betting against the Dolphins, or not the Dolphins, the Cowboys on Monday Night Football. I went with the Eagles. I hate betting the NFC. I should have done exactly what I did on Thursday night and just done props and gone that route. But for some reason, I just felt like a moment where I was like, well, it's the Cowboys. And I have kind of this weird rule where I was like, do not bet on the Cowboys. But the Cowboys seem to be a lot different team than they were last year. So, yeah, that was my big what are you thinking moment.
Yeah, I was on the Cowboys all day.
But you should have been.
Yeah, I mean,
smart play.
They went on the road. Dak threw it all over Tampa. Found that gimmick win at SoFi. And then finally home opener was really the thing that was like, yeah, we got to hammer the Cowboys tonight. Was that home opener? Full crowd. Same thing with Minnesota last weekend. Those are the things that kind of steered me towards those type of picks.
I regretted it the moment the first kickoff happened.
Yeah.
I was like, nope, this is done.
Well, I did sprinkle CeeDee Lamb first touchdown, and that one hurt the soul a little bit on that deep pass to open up the game. But hey, I'll take any sort of winning.
Because he was a yard short. I mean, it was
it was right there.
All right. Well, enough about last weekend and what we did. We still had a pretty profitable weekend last weekend. Would have been nice if the Dolphins would have won because that would have been really great for me. But did good in the early slate, did good in the last slate. I think I was 6-2 in the ones I gave out on last Sunday. So I feel confident going into this weekend, but not really because I hate the lineup of games.
Yeah.
So that being said, let's start with the early games. What do you want to talk about for the early games?
I don't want to talk about Washington and Atlanta. I good luck. Go if you're betting that game. I don't understand. Let's talk about the Houston Texans plus 17 on the road at Buffalo.
Interesting.
Because the Texans have covered for us in the past.
They have.
This season, but they did not against Carolina, and they do not have Tyrod Taylor at quarterback.
So what are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm staying away. That line is too much. But what do we think? 17 points in the NFL. 17.
And it's 17 points. Like this is the biggest spread we've had all year, right? I don't think anybody's been favored by more than 17.
Nope, I don't think anybody.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe somebody, but I don't want to get suckered into another Texans bet like I did
Last week.
Carolina.
Yeah.
That was look. I thought Davis Mills would be better. Apparently, he's not. I would stray away from betting them unless you can get Tyrod Taylor back. I know the IR rule this year is super weird, where you can actually come back. You're not out for the season. I think it's like 6 or 7 weeks or something stupid. So if maybe we see him later on in the year, but I mean, they were a good bet against Jacksonville. They were a good bet a couple times, against the Browns until we lost Tyrod. Now, God, it's so hard to bet that team.
Yeah,
I would actually lean towards the Bills, and it's so hard to lean towards them laying 17.
Yeah, and it's becoming that time of year where weather starts to play an impact, where Vegas is going to throw out some higher lines, like Cleveland in a couple games last season. I think it was Houston in Las Vegas where it was severely under because of the weather. So this is going to be one of those games where I'm going to look at what the weather forecast is like when I wake up on Sunday morning. Point total's at 47. Buffalo might be able to score 47 plus on their own in this game against that defense. However, if it's rainy, if it's bad outside, I'm thinking I might lean the under, but it's just one of those games where I'll probably just stay away completely. But it made me think of last year when I was checking Cleveland's weather forecast and hit a couple unders because the weather was so bad and windy.
Sunday, it's going to be 70 degrees and raining.
So we got a little bit of rain. But that also turns into Davis Mills turning the football over. So I don't know. And the verdict's still out on a lot of football teams. I was sold on Pittsburgh preseason. Week 1, I think we both took them plus 6.5 against the Bills on the road. And the Bills lost. In like the math equation in my head, I'm like, how do you go to Buffalo and beat the Bills? And then you go home and you lose to the Raiders are respectable this season. I will say that. I will always be their harshest critic because I'm just not going to fluff Gruden and say they're going to go 17-0. Like they got a lot to work on. But the Raiders aren't the Raiders of the past this season. But the Bengals struggled to beat the Jags last night, and they pretty much –
and they lost to the Bears.
Yeah, and they worked the Steelers last weekend. So the verdict's still out on – Washington's probably – but – they'll probably cover this weekend. I'm just going to completely stay away from a 17-point spread altogether.
Yeah, 17 is too much in the NFL to give up. Just because, it's sort of like the Niners and the Lions week 1. All it takes is a couple garbage time points and you're screwed. Like, it could be 34-10, and you're like, oh, I'm sitting pretty, and all of a sudden Davis Mills throws one blown coverage and you're fucked.
Yeah, you lose. It's 34-24 final.
Yeah.
The morning slate actually has quite a few dogs that I like. I love Detroit going to Chicago and winning that game. Honestly, the Bears are so pitiful right now. Watching that Cleveland game back, I know Detroit doesn't have a Myles Garrett on their team, but the Lions are competitive. They're in every game that they play. Well, I mean, the second half against the Packers was one thing, but probably should have won that game against Baltimore. I feel like that team's not going to be let down by Dan Campbell. I think that team's going to be fired up. They're going to go into Chicago, and Matt Nagy is probably going to be fired next Monday morning after that.
Oh wow! So next Monday. Well, if they get blown out like the way they do, and if they only put up 100 yards of total offense in 2 weeks, then maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Matt Nagy still had a job coming into this season when he should have been fired last year. So who knows when that guy's gonna get let go. Like, let's be real. The random news of well, I don't say it was random. I think it was the timing. It had nothing to do with it, but the news of buying Arlington Park to do a new stadium, I mean, was so perfectly timed to cover up the absolute embarrassment that they had last Sunday.
Yep.
And that being said, I weirdly want to take the Bears.
Yeah, I can't. Like, actually watching that Detroit Lions team play when they're scrapping is actually quite a bit of fun.
So here's the thing: the Lions are so good. They were 66 yards away from beating the Ravens, but yep. I'm not entirely sure what the Ravens are with how battered that team is from top to bottom.
Well, we'll talk about them later, but this is Bears Lions combo.
Yeah, this is Bears Lions. So like I don't know what to think of the Raiders or the Ravens because they seem to want to play kind of the level of their opponent. It yep. really is something. It's something different. So, but the Lions, Dan Campbell coming in there, I think has recharged them a little bit. Like, even though you don't have Stafford, I looked at both games last year. This over would have been obliterated in both of those games.
Yep.
Like the over is at 41, 44, something. It's low 40s.
I got it 41 and a half.
41 and a half. That both of those would have been obliterated in last year's games. They were like 27-20 and like 34-27 or something like that in both. And I get it. They had Stafford and they didn't have but they still have Matt Nagy. There's something about the Bears that I can never bet against strictly because they find weird, stupid ways to stay in football games. Always. That defense, I want to see this defense play Jared Goff because this defense is still a good defense with Chicago. And all it takes is 3 straight interceptions like they did to Joe Burrow.
And they're back
and they're in it.
Yep.
So don't get me wrong, I will bet this game because I'm gonna be forced to watch it by Illinois television. Like I'm gonna have to watch it. So I have Sunday ticket, but I'm saying like on my TV there's gonna be Fox and it's gonna be the Bears and the Lions. So I want to take the Lions, but there's something about the Bears where they do these stupid things defensively and special teams that always comes back to bite you in the ass. This line's low enough, I might lean towards the Lions, but it's tough. I might steer towards the under just because the Lions can't prove to me they can score on the Bears, and the Bears can't score.
No, they can't. So, do you want to segue into 2 teams that are better than expected going into the season with the Panthers and Cowboys? Because that game is a giant. I'm going to stay away from it. I want to see both teams got
no part of it
because somebody's coming out the winner, and they're not what we thought they were going to be preseason. However, it always comes down to quarterback play. And I've been high on Sam Darnold since he came out, but he is not – or came out of USC, I should
say. Since he came out of the closet, I've been super high.
But, man, I mean, we've lived through enough Mike McCarthy nightmares. Yeah. And it feels like that Cowboys team is going to be like those Packers teams. They're going to win a lot of games because they have elite quarterback play. Dak Prescott is elite in my eyes. But that Panthers defense has been exceptionally good against really bad quarterbacks in their first matchups. I mean, Jameis isn't really bad. He's just not, on that side of the lead.
He played bad that day.
He did. But I think that's just going to be a fun football game to watch. I'll stay away from it entirely, but I'm going to enjoy watching that one back. Out here in Vegas, they usually steer towards the Cowboys in those time slots.
Especially the Cowboys too. Typically, Vegas they get a little bit of boost in the lines because people always will bet them, and if I were to lean anything in this game, it would be Panthers money line. I don't want to touch the points, but I don't know what Carolina really is, and if Sam Darnold is the quarterback that we thought he was, that the Jets held him back from for the last 4 years, look, he may not need Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Maybe he's just actually a pretty good quarterback. Like,
I think we talked about it last week. I mean, Chuba Hubbard isn't a terrible running back in any stretch of the imagination either.
Dude, I mean, dude can fly.
Yeah.
And obviously he was a stud in college for a little while. His senior year his last year in college went a little bit poorly, but
performed in the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, that was McCaffrey that has been performing in the NFL. Chuba Hubbard, that you mentioned it, like his senior season actually dropped his draft stock quite a bit.
Like a lot.
Yeah. I think the guy can go. Fantasy players out there, I'm not a big fantasy guy. I'm in a few leagues with, a few buddies that, have grown children that want to play fantasy football. So I'm in like talking trash with anybody and everybody. But he would be one on the waiver wire. And I'm sure if you're in competitive leagues, he's probably gone. But I mean, Chuba Hubbard probably going to have an impact on that game Sunday.
Well, I think he's serviceable for them. Definitely. For sure. And is going to be able to step in there because look, the Panthers have had a game plan without Christian McCaffrey for 60% of the games he's been on the team. So,
and Sam Darnold isn't terrible. Again, staying away, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
And at the end of the day, too, you're talking about Matt Rule versus Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. Well, and Joe Brady calling that offense isn't a bad thing either. That guy knows how to put together a game plan and put some points on the board when needed.
So I'm going to stay away from the points, but I would do Panthers money line. In fact, I'll probably end up doing some like early morning parlay with a couple of teams I like, and the Panthers money line might be one of those just to kind of boost odds because I think they could win the game. But
do you want to talk about another money line dog I like in that morning slate?
Yes.
Look,
don't tell me it's the Jets because I will go over there and slap you.
No, I love that line dropping down. The Titans covering a touchdown should be easy peasy lemon squeezy in that game. The Jets are that horrendous, even at home. But I like the Minnesota Vikings to beat the Cleveland Browns this weekend. I don't know why I'm such a believer in the Vikings. They're 2 losses. They're a fumble away and a missed field goal away from being undefeated right now.
So I want to do the same thing, and I did do it last week, right? I think the line is too short because of what Cleveland did to the Bears for +2. The over, however, at 51.5 is where I'm going to lean.
Yeah, last weekend I took the over in Minnesota and Seattle and didn't hit it because Seattle's second half is just
that's the only game in their last 6 that they didn't cover. It's been 5 of 6 their last 6, 8 out of 10 their last home games, 8 of 10 the last 10 games against an AFC team. Cleveland is 4-6 against the spread their last 6. I'm leaning towards Cleveland here. Here's the weird thing, and the Vikings are super miserable at covering the spread. They're 2 of 10 their last 12.
Ooh.
Which is just abysmal. So I'm going to lean towards Cleveland just because when you looked at what Cincinnati did early on in that game, they played the Vikings. They brought the house against Kirk Cousins, and that's when they took the big lead. If they do anything remotely close to what they did to the Chicago Bears and put all sorts of pressure on Cousins, it's a different story. I think this Vikings team is a lot better than we've seen in the last couple of years, but I'm not ready to take them on this short of a line.
Yeah, and Kevin Stefanski going back to Minnesota, I think that's going to be a little bit of a things like that matter to me in my brain, anyways. But speaking of the Browns, have you seen that clip of Myles Garrett circulating Twitter of him pretty much defying gravity and rushing last week? Have you seen that of him? No. I'll tag you in it, but man, he makes this move that looks like he just teleported. It is the craziest thing that a man that big can move that quick. And, you talk about bringing the house. You don't have to bring the house when you got Myles Garrett. Defense line. That is the house.
Well, when I say bring the house, I just mean the house collapses on the top of the pocket. So, it's hard for me to want to go the Vikings here. I felt good about it last weekend because I think they're better, but this defense might just – and don't get me wrong, look, this game could be close enough where, like, if this was 3 or better, I'd go with the Vikings because the Vikings might find some stupid way in the second half to lose by a field goal.
Yep.
Because we've seen that happen multiple times in the last couple of years. So, but 2 is just too short for me. I know it's at home, but that's tough.
Yeah, and I think this is a true test. I mean, Cleveland's a botched punt away from being undefeated too.
Right.
Like we forget about that. And I'll probably stay away from it. But if I was going to throw like a long shot, dog parlay out there, I'd throw Minnesota on there. Their offense can score.
Well, let's see what the money is because this is only Friday. This line might move depending on where the money is.
What's that? It's at 2 now, right?
Oh, heavy on the Browns. 63% of the bet, 70% of the money. That line could move. Come Sunday, you could get closer to 3.
Are you going to touch Kansas City and Philadelphia at all? I know the Chiefs don't cover, but I am not sold on Philadelphia at all.
Neither am I. But wait, hold on, wrong notes. It's so hard to bet. I know I bet the Eagles on Monday night against the Cowboys, right? And there was moments of good things from Hurts, right? Moments. Few, but there were moments. And if I don't bet the Eagles getting 7, then I'm not going to bet it at all.
Yeah,
because the Chiefs are 1-7 against the spread last 8, 2-4 against the spread in our last 6 games against Philadelphia. 5-1 against the spread their last 6 on the road.
And 33, 36, 30, the amount of points given up. I mean, granted, it's good football teams are giving up those points against, and I don't view Philadelphia as a good football team. But man, that's probably going to be a stay away for me. This is really going to – I mean, the Chiefs will probably pull it out in the end. But, again, if we're taking anything in that game, it's going to be the Eagles +7.
Bigger bet than sharps on Philly here, from what I'm being told. But also, Philly's also pretty abysmal at covering, so it's hard to take them.
So maybe this is just a stay away.
No, I'm gonna play it, Brian.
Have to.
I'm gonna end up taking the Eagles, and I'm gonna end up that'll be the one game I play when I give out our picks where I'm like, well, that was fucking stupid.
Kind of like Pittsburgh last week, minus.
Yes, exactly.
Anything else in the early slates?
Hold on, I know I've got more than that. Oh yeah, here's an easy one. I think it's easy, and I'll give you one hint as to who I'm not betting. It's going to be the team whose 2 most important players have 3 sprained ankles.
Oh, you're not going to take the Dolphins in that game?
No, I'm saying I'm not taking the team that's got 3 sprained ankles for 2 players. The Dolphins at home only having to lay 1.5 to me, it just seems too easy. Finns are 11-4 against the spread in their last 15, 6-1 in their last 7 at home. Colts are 2-5 against the spread in the last 7. Like I said, 3 sprained ankles on 2 players. How do you do that? And I think it's Finns all day. Like I'm guessing this spread is lower because Jacoby is still going to be under center. But again, like Jacoby damn near beat the Raiders.
Yeah, I know you're a big Jacoby Brissett guy, so there's no doubt about that. But I agree. I think the Dolphins getting 1.5 at home. I mean, yeah,
laying a point and a half.
Yeah, I was big on the Colts preseason. I thought Carson Wentz going in there, restoring the roar a little bit. They covered against the Rams in week 2, which bit me very hard. I think I don't know. I think the jig is up there. The Colts are on a downward spiral, and the Dolphins are actually They're scrappy. They're going to compete, and in those competitive type games, they're going to find a way to win, unless they're playing the Raiders. But I agree. I would take the Dolphins to cover 1.5 easily, even 2.
Other noon games: Giants at Saints. Saints laying 7. Over-unders at 42. 70% of the public money's on the Giants.
Really?
I'll take the Saints all day.
Yeah, it's actually their home opener.
First game back in the Superdome that was on fire just a couple of days ago. 10-3-1 against the spread last 14 games. 2-1 this year. Giants are 2-5 their last 7 against the spread. They are, however, a deceptively good covering team on the road, but it just feels like the Saints are a team that are going to go off at any time. We've seen them week 1 do what they did to the Packers. Maybe that was the Packers. Maybe it was the Saints. I don't know. And they've kind of laid an egg since then. But it seems like this team has the pieces where, like, if they figure it out one time, they're just going to decimate somebody. Like they did week 1. So I have to go with that. And then, do you have thoughts there or no? Can I go on?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably stay away. Those touchdown lines just scare me. Danny Dimes is actually playing really good football this season, in my opinion. The rest of that team, though, is just abysmal. Just everything around Daniel Jones is just –
Daniel Jones over rushing prop. That's the only thing you want to do with the Giants typically. Until Vegas moves that line to over 30 yards a game, like they're going to keep kind of dinking around in the 26 range. I'm going to take that over. The other one, the Jets only getting 6 points at home against the Titans.
I'm taking the Titans. I feel like they've found their stride. Derrick Henry's probably going to rush for 150 plus, couple touchdowns. I don't see anything getting in their way offensively. Zach Wilson just
that little Mormon kid may not be it.
Yeah,
I think this line might be lower because you don't like AJ and Julio is up in the air. Even if neither of them play, that Westbrook Ikenhibi, whatever his name is, the kid from Indiana.
Yep,
I think he's serviceable there. I think he's pretty decent, and he stepped up when he's needed to for that offense. And then there's still that dude named Derrick Henry.
Yep,
in that backfield where it's like, well, fuck it. You can stick 8 guys in the box, 9 guys in the box. I'll run it with Derrick Henry. Vrabel will run it with Derrick Henry anyway. Like, who cares? Yeah. Like,
give him 30 touches. Give him 30 carries. He's going to get you a couple touchdowns, 150 plus. Like, I love the Titans to cover that spread this weekend.
I think that's the last one I have for the early game, so we can move on now. Did you have anything else for early or no?
Nope.
I think we talked about them all, so probably not. All right. You want to start off with your boy McVay?
Yeah. So I'm a big Coach Cliff guy too. Not in the way that I am with McVay or Gruden. I just like his swag. But he's not the best football coach on planet Earth. I mean, you double back to his Texas Tech days. He had Patrick Mahomes going 500 with Patrick Mahomes in the Big 12, not the best conference. The Cardinals always start off hot, cool down. The Rams at home. If you're coming off like literally making Tom Brady play your game defensively, we talked about it after week 1, not sold on the Cardinals in any capacity. I know they're probably a lot of fun on Madden, a lot of fun to watch, but Leonard Floyd and that defensive line is going to contain them. And I do, again, like the Rams to cover. I think that it's down to 4 now. I like them by a touchdown plus.
Well, what's funny is like I against the Buccaneers, the reigning Super Bowl champs, I moved their line to 9.5, and I'm almost concerned about the Cardinals. It's not like the Cardinals. They're not great at covering. I think they're like 4-6 or something in their last 10. Public money does agree with you, or big bets do agree with you. They're taking less percentage of the bets and more of the money the Rams are. I'm sticking with the Rams, especially this is at SoFi, right?
Yep.
Oh, then yeah, Rams by 20.
Yeah. I think the Rams at SoFi. Stafford already feels like home in that stadium. Like there's no watching him last week.
Well, he's the only quarterback who's really seen fans there ever, so it is kind of his home.
I mean, 54.5 is where the total's at now. I'll probably take that over. I mean, I don't see either team really scoring under 20 in that game.
Like, yeah, the big thing for the Cardinals being able to cover here is going to be their defense showing up like it did week 1, which they haven't really done that since. Like,
Nope.
it's just going to be Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt being able to be disruptive. And which I think you've seen a little bit early on when Stafford played the Bears. They got a little bit of pressure. They did some other things, and that's why that game took so long for the Rams to really take over, because they played well defensively early on.
Yep.
Now, that's exactly what Arizona will need to do, though, for 4 quarters, because if you do it for 3, Matthew Stafford will make you pay in the 4th.
Yep. And fantasy-wise, prop-wise, I mean, Cooper Kupp is on fire right now.
Dude,
give
him the MVP right now. Jesus.
Yeah, but you got to factor in, like, yeah, we're talking about Cooper Kupp, but he's still got Robert Woods. He's got Deshaun Jackson stretching the field. Van or Von Jefferson, getting quality targets out of that. Tyler Higbee still showing up. It's such a loaded offense.
Did you put out a stat about him spreading the ball around? Was that Stafford? Did you put out there?
No, it was Gruden.
Gruden, okay.
Yeah, we can talk about that on Monday night in that ball disbursement after Waller getting heavy week 1 targets. But I think the jig is up on the Cardinals. They give up a lot of points to offenses that aren't led by Matt Stafford and all of those weapons around him. They did find a way to run the football a little bit with Sony Michel towards the end of that football game. And, McVay still comes from that Shanahan tree as well. I know I like to give Gruden a lot of credit for McVay, but he finds ways to run the football, and he has over the course of time. And I can't imagine the Rams not covering. But then again, my first motor lock that I gave out on the stream was the Rams -3.5, but it was on the road at Indy. I like him at home just to crush them. I mean, there's going to be a lot of points, obviously, both teams. I'm probably going to parlay the Rams cover and the over and see how that goes.
Yeah, I think that'd be pretty safe. I mean, the Cardinals will find a way to score points. Like, as good as that defense is, they will score. Yeah, the over seems pretty safe. Only 4 points, a little low. Again, that might be when I'd move to 6.5.
Yep.
See what kind of odds I can get there, because it just seems the Cardinals have not been what they have been since week 1. So there's something inside of me that's saying, like, the Cardinals, because I've been rooting for that Cardinals team to be good for 2 or 3 years now, ever since Kyler Murray got there, honestly, because I've liked him a lot. But it's like, at the same time, also, in every meeting, and Kyler Murray's rush yards have always been like a big fantasy thing. And this was a stat I had to look up, was every meeting he's had with LA, he's had less than 25 rush yards.
Oh.
So if you're playing him in fantasy, expecting like, well, he's not going to throw the ball, well, he'll run around, less than 25 rush yards in every game he's played against the Rams.
Yeah.
So
I mentioned Leonard Floyd earlier. I think Leonard Floyd's going to have a big impact because Aaron Donald's obviously going to eat everything up inside like he always does. He's going to get double, triple teamed. That frees up Leonard Floyd, Kenny Young to fly around. I mean, I love watching Jalen Ramsey just punk dudes when he tackles them. Like, watching him in the open field make tackles is just – it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And that matchup, like, Jalen Ramsey likes those matchups. He wants to cover Mike Evans. He wants to cover DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Like, he craves those matchups. So it just screams Rams cover. Unbiased opinion. I'm going to take it. I'll take the Rams -4 all day. If you can move it, I would move it.
It's too short. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be another Rams line I have to move because Vegas clearly wants to get it wrong. All right. So outside of the Rams, let's move on to our old friend, Teddy Two Gloves covers. Well,
I'm looking at even money right now, or even line right now, I should say. Sorry, still a little bit buzzing from last night. But that line being even feels like we got to take the Ravens because, one, they're finding ways to win games. The Broncos really haven't played anybody. I mean,
true.
The New York teams, Jacksonville, the Ravens. I would take the Ravens if I have to. I'll probably stay away from it altogether. Again, Ravens defense really hasn't shown much this season. So maybe over 45 would be the play, but with it being even money, being pick 'em, I would pick the Ravens just out of the experience factor.
Look, Teddy Two Gloves is 38-13-1 now against the spread in his career as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
That's crazy. That's a crazy number.
You're gonna tell me 82% of the money is on Baltimore right now, and this line is moving the other way?
Because didn't the Broncos open up as the favorites in this game?
I
think they
well might have.
did.
Now I gotta look. Broncos opened up +1. No, +3. Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I'm saying. +3. 80% of the money is on Baltimore. They should be +5. But Vegas knows that on the other end, and that bad man in Denver, old Teddy Two Gloves, is playing the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. Look, the Ravens haven't shown me enough to the point where I get it. You squeaked by on a 66-yard field goal against the Lions.
fair.
That Ravens game. You let that Derek Carr threw every single pass in the first half to Darren Waller, and they couldn't figure out that's what he was doing. This Ravens defense is garbage. The Ravens offense is just so down. I think Denver's defense takes over this game, and all Teddy Bridgewater has to do is be serviceable, which he has been for a very long time in this league. Dude, give me Denver. I'd move that line to 2.5 if it's going to end up being any more.
So that's our opposite pick of the week. That's our opposite pick of the week. I'm in on the Ravens. You got the Broncos. We can chat about it next Friday.
Dude, I told you. I said last week I'm going to bet every Denver game this year.
It'll actually be interesting to see where that number falls right before kickoff. I mean, that's the beauty of the apps these days is I can sit here and just plug away on my phone and wait for, 1:25 local time kickoff.
Exactly.
Literally wait till about 1:20 local time to actually make a bet on that game. And I feel like with the way the money's moving towards the Ravens, maybe I can get them on the money line with some plus numbers. I'm going to sit on that one until it's time to bet on it.
That's what I mean. But it's moving opposite.
Which is crazy.
That's so fishy. That's what I mean. I think Vegas realized, we opened it up here. Oh, we made a mistake. Because still Teddy Two Gloves is on the other end of that. Can't do that. Can't get away with that. He's going to cover every time. Going to ride it. I'll probably bet Denver every single game for 17 weeks.
You should do that other than when they play the Raiders.
Still going to do it. Depends on what the line is.
Yeah.
Of course, if they keep winning, it's not going to be a very favorable line for me. But here's all right. This is interesting. Seattle on the road facing the 49ers.
I'm going Seahawks. I am. With the way they lost that game on Sunday night, I don't know. I don't feel like Russ is going to lay a dud 3 weeks in a row. They're not. I can't imagine the Seattle Seahawks losing 3 in a row with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Seahawks come away with the victory on the road.
Shit. Here's one of those games where the Seahawks have been less than the Seahawks we've typically seen. Except for week 1, obviously, when they handed it to the Colts. There's something about Seahawks that just don't impress me. Neither team is great at covering the spread. And then coming into this one, I want to lean towards the home team. I'm not let's not forget that Jimmy Garoppolo was 37 seconds away from beating Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. As bad as that first half was.
Yeah.
Look, I get it. I get it. However, I'll probably take Seahawks too.
Yeah,
but it's not easy for me to go there. It really isn't with them on the road and doing that.
This is going to be a tough game all the way through for anybody digesting it and diving in. And that's why if Seattle does win, they're not going to – San Fran's not going to win by 1 or 2. You know what I mean? Like Seattle's either going to win outright or San Francisco's going to cover. It is what it is. And I don't know. I'm a firm believer in Russell Wilson. Last couple of weeks, kind of a letdown, obviously letting Tennessee come back and beat them at home. Going to Minnesota, laying an egg in the second half. I can't imagine them losing 3 in a row. I just can't. I would be more in on San Fran losing 2 in a row than I would be San Francisco losing 3. Or Seattle losing 3 in a row, sorry.
I'm going to bet it, but I want to stay away from it. Especially because it's an afternoon game, and I will bet all 4 of those afternoon games because that's just what I'm.
Who we are. That's who we are.
That's who I am. That's who I am at my core. Can't let all 4 games go off in the afternoon and not play all of them. No, it's not easy for me to bet against the 49ers at home. If this was up in Seattle, all day. On the road, to me, is just such a different story. In Santa Clara, I have a much harder time going there. We'll see what I end up doing. The reason it scares me the most, too, is this is that weird game where everyone's thinking what you're thinking and what we're thinking because everyone's betting Seattle. No one is betting at all on the 49ers being the home team. A home team getting faded that much by the public.
So I just looked at the last 3 seasons, the matchup in San Francisco between those 2 teams. All 3 games were decided by a field goal.
I just got it right. Wait, 3 years in a row they were in Santa Clara?
Yep.
When does San Francisco play an away game? They only play the Packers at home.
Yeah.
They only play Seattle at home. What?
No, I just look because they're divisional opponents, so they do go to Seattle. But speaking specifically to games in Santa Clara, the last 3 seasons have been decided by a field goal. Last time San Francisco beat them was in 2018, 26-23 in overtime.
So it's going to be closer than maybe we think.
It's going to be a 3-point game one way or the other. So at the very least, you're going to get a push out of it if you bet the spread. But I would take the Seahawks to just win that game outright by a field goal, apparently.
But yeah. Yeah, so the Seahawks money line. Well, I guess if you take them +3, then you could push.
And that's the thing. Like taking some of these dogs to cover, a lot of them win outright. And that's – again, Seattle outright in that game could be by 1, could be by 3, probably not more than 3.
I'd love to see what the stats are on Russell Wilson after a loss. I like now that we've talked about that because I'd like to see. We talked about like Aaron Rodgers after a loss typically comes back and down. I'd love to see what Russell is like that. But all right, so that's where we are. If you think it's going to be a blowout, it's not apparently because it never is.
No.
So something we all learned today on this show. And then obviously we have to talk about the Green Bay Packers, who I just mentioned, who are at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are laying 7 points. The over-under is at 45. Are the Steelers dead?
Yes, because TJ Watt. It's got more so to do with TJ Watt than it does.
I believe I just seen TJ Watt was supposed to play in this game.
I don't like that at all.
I thought exactly.
I mean, is Kevin King active this week? Because if Kevin King's active, I'll probably take the Steelers. We all know that Kevin King is not my favorite Green Bay Packer. We'll just
he's no one's favorite Green Bay Packer. Yeah, TJ Watt cleared to play versus Packers and returned back to Wisconsin.
Okay. Well, that changes things a little bit. I mean, obviously, betting the Packers as favorites has not been favorable to me gambling-wise. So I will probably stay away.
Especially Elton Jenkins still doubtful.
Yeah. But then again, like you looked at how they figured out a way to get around Nick Bosa last week. But TJ Watt's a different beast.
Who was it that came in and just laid out Bosa as the commentary team was talking about him?
Oh God, who was it? I remember laughing at it. I can't remember who it was though. But it's how it is.
Yeah, they were just like gushing on Joey Bosa, and then somebody came down and just cracked the shit out of him.
But yeah, I mean, obviously we're both Packers fans, tried and true. If you got to take something, take the Packers to cover. I can't imagine Pittsburgh losing at home to the Raiders, losing to Cincinnati at home, and then going to Lambeau. Yeah, Rodgers is in his zone. He's in his zone. I think week 1 is the dud of the season for the Packers, which they have laid every single season that he's there. Yeah, screw it. Let's take the Packers to cover 7. I'll take it at 7.
Yeah, look, it was Tampa Bay last year. It was the Chargers the year before, I believe. And, I mean, there's always that really crappy game. Let's play a game. If San Fran wins the game last week, what's the spread here? I don't know. Chargers laid an egg last week too, though. So,
yeah, that's a good question.
Or the Steelers, yeah, the Steelers. I mean, Big Ben. Did we see some of the low lights of him last week?
Yes, we did.
Dude, he's washed, bro. Like it's almost sad to see because I do have a lot of respect for Ben and what he's done in this league, and it just feels like that old guy trying to hang on to something, and he's gonna do decent because he's got Tomlin. Dude, Tomlin has never had a losing season.
No, and he's want to talk about fantastic coaches. I love Mike Tomlin.
Mike Tomlin's awesome, and I think that organization just has this weird commitment to Ben, unlike sort of the way New York had one to Eli, and they just need to move on.
Yeah, but I mean, even looking at their quarterback roster, I mean, we're not going to trust Mason Rudolph or Joshua.
No, I'm not saying move on with what they have. I meant move on. Yeah, move on elsewhere.
You know, and I'm a big Najee Harris guy. Like, again, Packers fans, I wanted Aaron Jones to walk and re-sign Corey Linsley and draft Najee Harris. That was my prototypical perfect plan as a Packers fan.
Look, I am a huge fan of the offensive weaponry they have, whether it be Najee Harris, Chase Claypool, or Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, I think the weapons on that team are pretty good.
Yep.
And they have a guy who is just he's getting way too old to be playing this game for him. Obviously, Tom Brady is different. He can play till 55 if he wants to.
We're going to get to Tom Brady in a minute.
Big Ben isn't on the TB12 system. Ben has been jerking off to porn 7 hours a day and eating hamburgers and beer for the last fucking 16 years of his career. Like he does not have the type of endurance like Brady has to play in this league. I think he's washed, and I just think, look, they went 11-0, 12-0 last year.
Yep, I think it was 11, but same.
Yeah, which was a lot of that defense. Micah Fitzpatrick, T.J. Watt on that defense, really letting them stick around in a lot of games. Big Ben is not your answer anymore. I'm sorry, Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, but I just don't think it is. And just going off of the quarterback battle between Rodgers and Najee Harris, or Najee Harris, Jesus Christ, Rodgers, you might as well put him at quarterback. Rodgers and Ben at this stages of their career at Lambeau, they cover 7. They should easily.
I'm with you there. Also, Steelers offensive weapons, Pat Freiermuth, tight end out of Penn State, rookie, fantastic tight end. Fantastic.
They got to get someone plugged in there to utilize those, because Juju could have walked last year. He didn't. He's still there. Chase Claypool from Notre Dame. Hate Notre Dame. Like Chase Claypool.
Have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can you not like Chase Claypool?
So, I don't know. That's where I am with the Steelers. I think they might be dead. They showed up week 1, but I don't know. TJ Watt coming back and Elton Jenkins being out is scary, but we'll see.
I mentioned it earlier with them upsetting Buffalo week 1 and then, losing those 2 games back to back. TJ Watt went out with a groin injury against the Raiders in the second quarter and was obviously out against the Bengals. So him being in that game is going to have an impact in some capacity. Either we need to block him and pay all attention to him, or he's going to make a difference. So I agree with your quarterback matchup. You got to take Rodgers at this point in time in that matchup. Cover 7 at home. Let it ride to 6.5. Let's cover that one.
Yeah. I think money is overwhelmingly on the Packers, which is scary. But yeah, Steelers taking 18% of the bets and 31% of the money. That's a big.
Ooh.
big difference, honestly. So somebody smart out there is probably betting a lot of money in the Steelers thinking they're going to cover, but I don't know. It's still Lambeau. It's still Aaron Rodgers. I got to go there.
Yeah.
So
2 games left.
Speaking of Tom Brady, the Goat Bowl, as people are calling it.
So, I mean,
the return. I was going to make this really dramatic and long. The return of the son of Foxborough. Tom Brady comes home to Gillette Stadium, a 7-point favorite, as he faces Bill Belichick, rookie Matt Jones, and the New England Patriots.
I'm probably going to stay away. Living in Boston for a handful of years, the Tom Brady talk is insufferable to me. I know that's where all of the media and all of the hype is going, and I get it. I understand it. But this whole Brady versus Belichick thing, it was a perfect marriage. There wasn't one reason for success in New England. It was so perfect. And it was poetry in motion for those guys for so many years. It's not one versus the other at this point. This game, if you work with a quarterback for 20 years, you're in your 70s and you've seen more football maybe than anybody on planet Earth. I feel like Bill Belichick in that defense is going to be overly prepared for this game. Where it comes down to in this matchup has nothing to do with Tom Brady or Bill Belichick. Well, maybe Bill Belichick a little bit more. But how does Mac Jones come back from a 3-interception game to play a Tampa Bay defense that ranks last in the NFL in passing yards per game?
Last or first? They're giving up the most?
Yeah, so the Bucs have the worst pass defense through 3 weeks in the NFL.
Okay.
They played Dak. Matt Ryan is not.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they played last weekend against Stafford. So it's not
I got Seattle giving up more yards.
Oh.
They're giving up 440.
440 yards passing?
Yeah. No, sorry. That's total. Okay. Wow. Looked at that wrong. Tampa Bay 338. Dallas Cowboys 331.
So looking at that, this could be the Mac Jones breakout game. But there's a lot of factors that go into this game other than Brady versus Belichick from a lot of perspective. And I know it's always going to be Brady versus Belichick, and that's all anybody's going to talk about. One, as football fans, we're going to sit down. We're going to enjoy this game.
Yeah, I'm going to 100% go the home dog route. I'm going to take Belichick and the Patriots covering 7. Just because, look, I get everyone's going to be hyped for this game. And one of the most ignorant takes I've seen this week so far has been Stephen A. Smith, who talked about Mac Jones's press conference where he's like, are you telling me in 13 minutes you can't mention Tom Brady once? Why would he? He's facing the Tampa Bay defense, not Tom Brady.
I agree.
I love how the media is just trying to portray this thing and find certain angles and stupid things like that. Mac Jones does not have any influence over what Tom Brady does in this game. None. Except for stay on the field, let his defense, not keep his defense on the field longer than it needs to be. It's such a fun game, and I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to watch it, but I'm going to have to bet on it to enjoy it even more.
Yep.
Or hate it even more. And here's my thing is I don't hate Tom Brady. I've mentioned this before to a lot of people. When I went up and watched the Packers play the Patriots in Gillette, I came away with a TB12 t-shirt and I bought a little packet of nuts and stuff from the system. I like Tom Brady. I think, dude, it's hard not to respect everything he's done in this league. And you can pick apart he throws a short passes. He did this and that. I get that argument too, but dude's a winner. Dude's been put in a perfect situation. Like you said, it was a great marriage for a very long time.
Yeah. You can just call out me and Barry McCockner for calling out.
McCockner, go. What a legend that guy is.
Yeah, I wish that guy would. He tweeted it last night that he should be on the Eli and Peyton what is it, stream or broadcast?
The Manning cast, yeah.
Yeah,
legendary.
But I mean, looking at this, like removing Tom Brady and Bill Belichick from the situation, just looking at the Pats versus the Bucks. The Bucks have a loaded roster, an absolutely loaded. Like Richard Sherman, I probably not going to have an impact. I don't even think he's going to see the field Sunday. I mean, too soon. But then again, I mean, he's a vet. Like he knows where he fits in and like the role he's going to play. I just watching Mac Jones last weekend struggle a little bit. Dennis Allen and that Saints defense. Dennis Allen's an underrated coach defensively. Like he's done it consistently year in and year out. Todd Bowles, not a terrible defensive coordinator in any capacity. It's a rookie quarterback coming off a terrible game at home. I want to see what Mac Jones has against the worst pass defense in the league statistically at the current moment.
Well, you got the starting quarterback and you've got the head coach who's with him for so many years. This game, I would imagine, means a lot to them, whether they say it or not, and they won't say it. But he's working with a rookie quarterback, and honestly, out of everything, the one guy who's able to control the game, who's on the field, is the guy who's the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I get leaning towards that. When I look at, again, until I see that Tampa Bay defense be as dominant as they have been towards the end of last season, it's hard for me to think that this is the Tampa Bay Tampa Bay team that won the Super Bowl last year.
Yep.
Like they're still early Tampa last year, as far as I'm concerned. And going into Foxborough, never an easy place to play, whether Cam Newton's a quarterback, whether Tom Brady's a quarterback, whether Mac Jones is a quarterback. Gillette Stadium is going to be absolutely fucking electric.
Yes, it is.
On Sunday night.
It's so crazy because I'm in a group chat with a lot of the Boston folks, and there's like one of them is very like, no, Tom Brady is the reason for our success. One of them is like the old school Patriots fan that's like, no, Mac Jones is our guy now. We're not worried about it. Folks like Matt Judon, fantastic football player. Yeah. They're going to have an impact. I mean, the Michigan pass rushes that they have, Winovich, Uche, however you say it, Kyle Van Noy, Dante Hightower. Like we can talk about these New England defenders all day. They're going to be so ready for this game because they played with Tom Brady, not the Michigan pass rushers mostly, but Kyle Van Noy won a Super Bowl in New England. Tom Brady was on that team. Like they're going to be ready, but at the same time, nobody prepares for a football game like Tom Brady. Nobody. So
nobody prepares for a football game like Bill Belichick.
Yeah. So that's going to be a war of attrition. Like you want to talk about two folks that know each other inside and out. That's going to be the fun matchup for me. Is one of them is going to win that war specifically because I don't think it's going to come down to Tampa Bay's defense against New England's offense. That game's going to come down to can they slow down that Tampa Bay offense defensively for New England? Because if New England if Tampa Bay is having their way offensively, it really doesn't matter what their defense does. It really doesn't.
Dennis just brought up a prop for Leonard Fournette over 40 rushing yards, 42 and a half. That's what they've got there. I feel like he's been kind of a letdown so far this year. As far as those props in fantasy goes.
I mean, he's got 92 rushing yards through 3 games.
Right. And, yeah, so he's hit that once in 3 games. And, look, we're talking – I mean, it's not like New England's defense is bad.
Nope.
It's a solid – I mean, that's a solid defense. That's a tough one for me. I might stay away from old touchdown Lenny in that one.
Playoff Lenny? Yeah, I mean,
here's the one I would go with. Gronkowski over 40 yards for sure.
Yep.
Out of everyone in this game, Gronk might be the one who goes off the most. Now that I think about it.
Yes.
Like surprisingly enough.
I mean, we're going to get week 1 Derek Carr to Darren Waller type targets for Brady and Gronk.
Probably. That or he won't have a single catch. It's going to be one of the two.
Is he healthy? I know he got a banged up back last week, and I don't think he practiced this week. But I can't imagine Gronk not playing Sunday in any capacity. He's going to be on the field.
I would think he's going to. I haven't seen anything. He's questionable. Questionable will probably be probable come tomorrow.
Yeah, he'll play. To Dennis.
There's no way he's missing this.
To Dennis in the chat, even if he is 60, he's going to be on the football field catching balls.
No, I think he made the player prop or the receiving prop. But no, Gronk is actually younger than Brady, for everyone out there who's wondering if that's the case. No, I've got Gronkowski at 42.5 on FanDuel right now. I would hammer that over.
He might get that in one catch.
Possible.
Yeah.
Or Lenny Fournette to score a touchdown is even money. Gronk to score a touchdown is 110.
Ooh, I would take, if it's plus money, I would take Gronk to score a touchdown.
What about Tom Brady plus 310 to score a touchdown?
I mean,
like that 1 yard.
Yeah, I mean, he's the king of that quarterback sneak. So either you got to take Fournette or you got to take Brady in one of those circumstances. Exactly. Which one are you going to take? Is it going to be one or the other?
Yeah, here's what I've missed so far from the Tampa Bay offense is the underutilization of Jonnu Smith, who I think is a very, very good tight end. That dude is a refrigerator with arms and legs. And when you look at the tight ends that New England brought in this offseason, it's very, and I don't want to mention his name, but it's a very Gronk Hernandez,
yes, it is,
style combo, which I don't think they have utilized near enough the way they did when they had those two guys a few years ago. Because I'd like to see those guys a lot more involved than they have been. And I get it. Maybe it's because you've got Mac back there and you're still trying to work things out.
Yeah,
but that might be the two best tight end set in the league.
Yeah, I can't argue that talent-wise for them. But you also look at the pieces on that New England offense. I mean, obviously last weekend was a huge letdown for it, but you got a rookie quarterback, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, the two tight ends we just mentioned. There's a lot of new pieces to that offense. It's going to take a little time for that to gel, and I don't know if it's going to come together this weekend, and maybe this is the weekend that Tampa's defense might come around and get back in rare form. This could also be the weekend where Mac Jones is comfortable in the offense. They let him push the ball down the field a little bit more because he can. I don't know. There's just going to be something magical Sunday night. Obviously, Brady's going to break the passing record, so we're going to have to hear about that all week. How he went back to Foxborough and did that, but
how like as Aaron Rodgers would say, how can you not be romantic about football?
Yeah,
when it just all sets up for Brady to come back to Gillette to do that.
Yeah,
I mean you can't write that shit, man.
No, you can't.
It's so crazy, which good for him. Like, again, I have no disrespect for Tom Brady, but as much as I don't like him as like a human being and a person, I think he's a scumbag and I wish he never was born. But, other than that, I have a lot of respect for him.
No, so on that note, I would take the Pats +7. I would let it steer towards, because I'm assuming all the money's on Tampa Bay. I would let it get as high as possible and place that bet right before kickoff.
Yeah. 84% of the money on the Bucks right now. Yeah. Let that climb. Maybe get a few more, at least the hook at 7.5.
Yeah.
Maybe 8. We'll see what happens between now and then, which is good when you look at these numbers early where the money's at, because you can kind of get a gauge of where the numbers are going to go. And that's kind of why I like the show on Friday a little bit, because it gives me a little perspective on what we're going to see come Sunday. So we're both kind of leaning towards the Pats here. We get it. But let's move on to your boy, John Gruden, going into SoFi, which is the background you see around you right now.
Oh, yeah.
In the LA Chargers.
So I think this is going to be a lot of fun to watch from a football fan perspective. The Chargers are favored by 3.5 now? I saw this morning, maybe?
I've got 3 right now.
Obviously, intriguing matchup. Justin Herbert is that, future breakout star at the quarterback position. What I feel like is going to come down in this game is Gus Bradley, the defensive coordinator for the Las Vegas Raiders, is the only defensive coordinator in the NFL to spend a full season with Justin Herbert last season in LA with the Chargers. So we talk about that Brady-Belichick matchup, knowing each other full well. Gus Bradley spending a season with Justin Herbert in the same locker room, in the same meetings. I think that's going to be the thing that propels the Raiders' veteran defenders that came in, Denzel Perryman, Casey Hayward, playing again. Wish the Packers would have never let Casey Hayward go. However, he's in Vegas now, so I'm okay with it. But those guys, veteran defenders, Ngakoue playing fantastic football this season. The Raiders have a defense. I tweeted it out this week. There was 5 receivers with the Raiders last weekend that had over 5 targets, one of them being Peyton Barber. So Gruden is spreading that football around. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. And I'm taking the Raiders on the money line, obviously. But I think it's going to be a fun, intriguing matchup between 2 quarterbacks playing really good football right now. But I think it's going to come down to Gus Bradley spending a season with Justin Herbert, knowing him maybe better than anybody in the NFL currently.
Yeah, so when you look at this, the biggest mismatch between these 2 teams is going to be the defense of the Raiders and the Chargers.
Yep.
Chargers defense is what is going to scare everyone. However, they did not, because an overwhelmingly percentage of the money is coming in on the Chargers. 45% of the bets. So big money. Well, don't say yes just yet. 45% of the bets and 80% of the money, which means the public bets is 55% on the Raiders and only 20% of the money. So it's little dink and dunk people like me and you who are betting the Raiders. To Dennis's point, Justin Herbert is the future Derek Carr. I don't think he's a future Derek Carr. I think he's a future Brett Favre. I love Justin Herbert. I think that dude slings it around. He looks so very promising. He looks a lot more promising than a lot of young quarterbacks we've seen. Thank God to the doctor who stuck a needle right through Tyrod Taylor's heart and nearly killed him. Because then the world got introduced to Justin Herbert. And I rode the Chargers last week. I'm going to ride them again this week. I don't like having to lay points to the Raiders, who are 3-0. That's scary. But look, man, we're at SoFi. And Anthony Lynn is not here anymore. So obviously this is a much better situational football team than they were a year ago.
You and I could make that a better situational football. But on that note,
there's not a lot of head coaches who could have been worse situationally than Anthony Lynn.
On that note of SoFi, though, I mean,
well, I get it. It's the Rams' house, and the Chargers are kind of renting it. But I think there's a lot of people in San Diego who are still loyal to that team, and it's only an hour away. I mean, it's almost like San Francisco being in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
I will it be as rocking as it was for the Rams? No, probably not. But
I saw
their home field.
I follow Raiders Twitter a lot, and I saw a tweet this week. I don't know if it's got any substance to it, but one of the ticket sources said 60% of the tickets sold are to Raiders fans.
Oh,
so
wow.
The Raiders have a strong LA presence as well.
Rightfully so, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm not sold entirely on the home field advantage on that one. Last season, the Raiders going in there and getting a victory, and then taking the Chargers to OT and losing at home last season. And again, I just that Gus Bradley matchup. Like, I'm so fired up that Gruden's got him as the defensive coordinator. I'm taking the Raiders on the money line. I'm going to sit and watch it grow. Hopefully, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. If history speaks for itself, that game's probably going to go over. I don't expect it to be a slugfest. I expect points to fly on Monday nights. So it might be the system play of last season that bit me a little bit, but also cashed out a little bit. Raiders money line and the over.
Yeah, well, I'm starting to regret a little bit of what I said then just now. No, I'm still gonna go with it. I'm gonna, God damn. There's something about that Chargers team where I just think they're so good.
They are.
We have not seen yet what they're even capable of. They won't have the type of home field advantage, like I said, like they do with the Rams at SoFi, because again, they're kind of renting it. But I don't need that. I just need Herbert to be what I think he's going to be. And again, I think he's going to be an absolute stud in this league. I think he's going to continue to move on forward, especially again. Anthony Lynn was the thing that held that team back a year ago.
Absolutely. No arguments there.
And so now coming forward, I think the Chargers take a huge step forward. I don't like having to lay points with them, but it's not going to go anywhere too because most of the money is on them. If that line moves any more, though, like if I have to lay any more than 3, I will stray away.
Yeah,
if I will take the Chargers by a field goal, but no more.
Yeah, those 3.5 point spreads have destroyed me this season entirely.
Well, week 1 there was only 3.5 point spread. Yeah,
so
I won't lay any more than 3. We'll see where the line moves to come Sunday, but
I mean, obviously, me being a John Gruden stan that I am, I'm going to always take the Raiders when they're dogs on the money line. Always not going to take.
Especially too. Can we talk about why are they favored?
Yeah,
a 3-0 team. I get the usually you get the home field 3 points.
I mean, matchup to matchup, the Raiders won by I think it was 5 at SoFi last season. Obviously, with no crowd, but it was a back-to-back defensive stop on the goal line essentially to win that game. I think it was like a 31, 26, 27 type game. And then, needing overtime with Gruden and the playing to not lose instead of playing to win play calling last season.
What a disaster.
Yeah, I was still it's like Gruden needs me. Gruden needs me. So it's going to be a tight matchup one way or the other. I think the play there is definitely the over. What is the total at? Oh, 51.
51.
Yeah. Over. Look at both offenses. I mean, each team has defensive pieces that are going to make it jump out. Obviously, Joey Bosa, Asante Samuel Jr., Derwin James on that Chargers defensive lineup, and then the Raiders with the mention from Gus Bradley bringing his boys in, Max Crosby creating a little bit of havoc. But there's also liabilities for both teams, and I think quarterbacks are good enough to overcome the defensive liabilities and put up some points.
I don't know. I think that over's a little harder than I mean, Chargers haven't scored a lot of points.
And I hope they don't score a lot of points on Monday.
Well, if you want the over, you need them to.
Wow. That's more so the loss.
51.5.
Because they 30 against the Chiefs, 17 against the Cowboys, and 20 in week 1 against
30 against the Chiefs, 17 against the Cowboys,
20 against the football
20
team.
Against the Chargers. Yeah. Well, I guess if they get there, Raiders do what they do. I don't know, but I think yeah. All right. Yeah, over seems.
High scoring affair Monday night in LA.
I might stay away from the over-under though. I might just pick a team and go for it.
Don't bet against the Raiders again. That's all I'm going to.
That has been like my Achilles heel so far. Why do I keep wanting to do that? God damn, man. Yeah, because what I did the Ravens.
Yeah.
And then I did the Dolphins.
Yep.
Fuck.
Both those games went over, by the way.
But I did bet them once and they won. So.
It was what, against the Steelers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said early on, bet the Raiders.
Yeah, and historically speaking, with Las Vegas 6-2 on the road last season, it was better than the 2-6 home record that they had. So that's the thing that always jumps out and scares me is, them at home versus them on the road. Like they're going out, they're beating Kansas City on the road. I mean, they laid an egg against Atlanta, but other than that, the Raiders are actually a pretty strong football team on the road.
Is this the year we see them play better for an entire season instead of folding after week 8?
Well, we'll see after week 8. And Dennis in the chat, I'm probably worse at betting horses than AJ is. I don't even want to touch that. I don't even want to go there. I might ride with AJ's picks on that.
Which you should. If Dennis would have. I mean, look, I hit the pick 5 on Tuesday. I mean, I had some bombers at Saratoga. Just saying. But Dennis will continue to fade me every single week.
Hey, the casino's got to make money too, Somebody's got to.
I get it. Dennis was on our chat for our Tuesday show. He left early, and then after he left, me and my partner, we both hit the pick 5. $54 turned that into like $750, whatever. No big deal.
Nice hit.
But yeah, you know what? Yeah, Dennis, keep fading me, bro. But no. So yeah, that concludes, and this has been a very long show. We've gone almost 2 hours, but it's been fun. It's been a good fun show. We will be posting all of our picks on the DGen Twitter come tomorrow and Sunday. College is going to be a very fun slate. I don't know how many you think you're going to throw out tomorrow?
A lot. So
Yeah.
I would say fade me early, other than Georgia first half cover, because that's been very profitable for me. But other than that, I have been absolute dog shit in the early slates. Afternoon and evening slate, I would take my picks, but early, the worst college gambler in the history of college gambling.
Which is good, because early on last week, I did really well. And then I lost both my late games.
So
We give out winners in one way or another.
Yeah, so DGen will throw out all of those tomorrow, and then, of course, on Sunday, we will throw out our picks for the NFL slate. But look, guys, we've been on fire. We've been doing pretty good. If you've been tailing us, you've probably won some money, because we have.
Yeah.
I don't know about Tyler. I don't know if he follows through on what he says, but I have. And we've been winning some good money. So keep following us. Hit the like and subscribe button down there on the YouTube channel, whichever YouTube channel and you're watching it on. Follow the DGen Twitter. Tyler and my's Twitter has also been on the ticker all day. Give us a follow. And again, Tyler wants you to talk shit to him on Twitter.
Preferred.
He really wants you to talk shit to him. So if you don't like his picks, tell him and give him something to do, because apparently he's looking for it.
Hey, since we shut down the wrestling days, I need a little bit more trash talk in my world. All right. So jump on, talk some trash. I'm all in for it. Happy to be wrong. Happy to get faded. But I will also throw it back tenfold, and you better come back for more if you want to engage in that shit talking conversation with me.
So yeah, full disclaimer if you do that. And well, thank you guys. Dennis Trusty, I think D-Rest was in the chat earlier. All you guys who were in the chat this week, like and subscribe. And let us know what your picks are on the DGen Twitter. And we will see you next week after our bank accounts are
Loaded.
much bigger.
Loaded.
Thanks, guys.
All right, AJ. We'll see you next week, brother.